All right, so today we're diving into something pretty interesting, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be taking a deep dive into a specific life insurance policy, and I think this will be pretty relevant for a lot of our listeners.
Okay, sounds good.
We've got some information from Diversified Insurance Brokers about the Gerber Life Guaranteed Life Insurance Policy.
Gerber life.
Yeah, Gerber, like the baby food.
Ah, interesting.
So, it might seem a little strange, baby food and life insurance, right? But it really highlights, I think,
Yeah.
how important it is to plan for the future,
Right.
no matter what stage of life you're in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so our goal today is to break down this policy so that you, our listeners, can decide if it might be a good fit for you.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, so let's start with some of the basics of the Gerber Life Guaranteed Life Insurance Policy.
Okay.
First off, it's specifically designed for individuals between the ages of 50 and 80.
Gotcha.
And in New York, it's actually between 50 and 75. And one of the most appealing things about this policy is that it's guaranteed acceptance.
Guaranteed acceptance.
So that means no medical exams
Wow.
and no health questions.
That's a big deal for a lot of people.
Huge, yeah. Especially for people who might have some health concerns in that age bracket.
Exactly. Yeah, if you've got any, pre-existing conditions,
Yeah.
it can be really tough to get traditional life insurance.
Absolutely.
So guaranteed acceptance is definitely a big plus for a lot of folks.
Right. It kind of takes the guesswork out of things.
For
So
sure.
you apply, you're in.
Yeah, it takes a lot of the stress and anxiety out of the process.
Exactly.
For sure.
So with this policy, you can get coverage ranging from $5,000 to $25,000.
Okay.
With a limit of $15,000 in South Dakota for some reason.
Interesting.
Yeah. And these funds can be used for a variety of things.
Right.
Things like covering final expenses, medical bills, funeral costs,
Makes sense.
all those things that can really add up and be a burden on your loved ones.
Yeah, no one wants to leave their family with a bunch of debt.
Absolutely not.
And especially after they've, just lost someone.
Exactly. And on top of that, the policy also builds cash value over time,
Oh, okay.
which can be accessed through policy loans if needed.
So it's kind of like a savings account in a way?
Yeah, sort of, but they do have an 8% interest rate on those loans.
8%.
Yeah, something to keep in mind.
That's pretty high.
Yeah.
So you'd really want to think carefully before tapping into that cash value.
Right. It's definitely not free money.
No, definitely not.
Okay. Now, one thing I wanted to touch on was this graded death benefit
Right.
that applies during the first 2 years of the policy.
Yeah, can you explain that a little bit more?
Sure. So basically, if the insured person passes away from a non-accidental death within those first 2 years,
Yeah.
the beneficiary receives 110% of the premiums paid.
Okay.
After 2 years, the full coverage amount is paid out regardless of the cause of death.
Okay, so it's a little different in those first 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
But after that, it's pretty straightforward.
Right. And, I think it's important to note that
Yeah.
taking out loans against the cash value will decrease the final death benefit.
Right. Yeah, that's a really important point.
So there's definitely some trade-offs to consider.
Exactly.
You got to weigh whether having access to that cash value is more important to you,
Yeah.
or if maximizing that death benefit for your beneficiaries is the priority.
Right. It all comes down to individual needs and circumstances.
Absolutely.
And I think, this Gerber policy can be a really good option for some people.
Yeah,
But it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
of course.
There might be other options out there that could be a better fit for certain individuals.
Right. So it's always good to do your research.
Absolutely.
Talk to a financial advisor, figure out what makes the most sense for your situation.
Exactly.
So for any of our listeners out there who are over 50
Yeah.
and maybe haven't quite figured out the whole life insurance thing, this Gerber policy could be worth looking into.
Especially if you've had trouble getting coverage in the past.
Right. Especially if health issues have made it difficult to qualify for a traditional policy.
Exactly.
The guaranteed acceptance aspect of this policy can be a real game changer for a lot of people.
For sure. It takes a lot of the worry out of the equation.
Absolutely.
So yeah, if this sounds like it could be a good fit for you,
Yeah.
definitely do some more research, talk to a professional, and see if it makes sense for your overall financial plan.
Great advice. And with that, I think we'll wrap things up here.
Sounds good.
But before we go, I'd like to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay.
We've talked about the benefits of this guaranteed acceptance policy,
Yeah.
and we've touched on some of the limitations.
Yeah.
So now I want you to think about this. Does this type of policy, with its unique features, really align with your long-term financial goals?
That's a great question to consider.
Yeah, because ultimately you want to make sure that you're making the best decisions for yourself and your loved ones.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's all about, right?
Right.
Making informed choices and feeling confident in your financial future.
Couldn't agree more.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep striving for that financial peace of mind.
Great advice.
See you all on the next deep dive.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks for being here.